counter.
I've got no idea.
It feels very
Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, the show in which me and my friends give our unwanted opinion on all things film. My name is Lewis and I'm joined today with Kyle
Hello.
and Gonzalo.
Hey, Happy New Year, everyone.
Hey, Happy New Year, yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
Hope everyone listening had a great Christmas and New Year. Actually, Gonzalo, how was your New Year? I've not actually caught up with you. What did you get up to?
I didn't do much, honestly. I mean, my family was
that's
visiting
good.
and stuff. We had a bunch of celebrations for Christmas and things, and then for New
Right.
Year's, we did the typical thing that we do in Spain. I don't know if you guys do this as well, but...
Did you get absolutely smashed?
No, we eat grapes. That's a thing we do. As
Oh.
the clock strikes midnight, we eat
What
12...
kind of grapes?
Well, we have the
Catch your breath.
fermented ones right afterwards.
There we go. That's
Yeah,
all I was
yeah.
looking for, you know.
What's the UK's like New Year's tradition? Because we eat 12 grapes as the 12 dongs of the clock for midnight happen, and then we cheer and set off
12
the fireworks.
shots?
12
That's the-
shots.
12 shots?
Yeah.
1
12
shot per
shots,
second
really
kind
nice.
of thing. Yeah.
I think that's Lewis's tradition, if I'm right.
That's true. I was
Yeah.
very drunk for a good 3 days between
Oh,
the
wow.
New Year's.
Lewis just wakes up and he goes, I'm still fish.
No, we did like a family outing on the first. We headed up to the mountains and did a bunch of hiking and stuff. Got lost a bunch. It was really fun. And then we found this little restaurant next to the road that served the best cocido montañés I've had in a long time. It was fucking
Gonzalo's
delicious.
New Year sounds much more wholesome than me.
Yeah,
and
it's
Kyle's.
really
But
wholesome.
being able to get up on New Year's Day is an impressive
That's
achievement
true,
in
yeah.
itself, to be honest.
But look, let's get to today's show. So on
Yes.
today's episode, since it's the first episode of the new year, it's time to look back on 2023 for the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that means we're talking about the best films of 2023, our picks for absolute favourites from across the entire year. I think between me and Kyle, we watched a lot. I'm not sure about that guy Gonzalo, but we saw a bunch of great and terrible films,
Yes.
which we'll get to next week on the terrible front. But let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
So, I guess, Gonzalo, what is you got any honourable mentions to start with?
Yes,
and
yes,
what
I've
is your
got a-
first pick for your favourite of
Okay,
2023?
so I'm going to start with like a couple of honorable mentions. I want to say
Okay.
I didn't
Okay.
catch this in theaters because I had zero
Shock.
hopes from it, and the trailer looked awful. But you guys told me
Okay.
to watch the D&D Honor Amongst Thieves movie,
Yes.
and
yes.
goddamn was that a fun watch! Oh my god,
Very fun, very good time.
reminds me of like the kind of like family-friendly adventure movie that like I enjoyed so much as a kid. Great stuff if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it. That one got completely snuffed in the box office.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah,
Shame.
that was
Absolutely great.
I'm still emotional about
And
that.
I want to also talk about Cross the Spider-Verse. Gorgeous
Of
movie,
course.
incredible. It somehow managed to be even more visually stunning than the first one. Tackles a lot of cool issues, but like many part 1 and part 2 movies, we'll have to see what happens next to see if like any of the things that were set up are going to be paid
I'm
off.
surprised that actually wasn't one of your picks. Actually, you're one of your
No,
top three
I
picks.
really like it, but like we've talked about this a lot in the show whenever we have part 1s and part 2s for these big
Yes.
franchises, and Kyle always says, "I'll hold my judgment until the second one comes
Yes,
out."
no, I'm very
And
much in that point.
I'm
yeah.
gonna be with Kyle on this one, despite the fact that I really enjoyed this movie, and I've seen it like 3 times in cinemas or something. Like it was stunning, loved it. I will hold my judgment because a lot of the setup of this movie was great, but without the resolution of the setup, I can't really judge how well or powerful it actually was.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think my number one pick, like for the 2 picks I'm going to talk about, I'm going to start with one that I recently rewatched and liked even more than when I originally watched it, and that is the Barbie movie. So,
Okay.
yeah, Barbie. Man, I really enjoyed it when I went to see it in cinemas, but I had a couple of issues with it because I naively was expecting it to tackle, like, the problems with Mattel as a corporation itself and a lot of, like, economical issues as well as social ones. It didn't really do that, and that kind of like left me with some like sour taste in my mouth after the movie, despite how excellent it was. And having rewatched it very recently, I found myself liking it even more. It feels like such a good reach of like, like teaching certain things that you really don't get unless you look into them, certain things about like feminist theory and the patriarchy and all that stuff, to a very wide audience in a non-patronizing way, in a very fun way. And the fact that they managed to do something like this with a big studio budget, with a property as like famous as an IP as this Barbie, is still outstanding. And I don't think I gave it enough credit when it actually came out, because I was so excited for what could be that I didn't really like. I kind of like underestimated how amazing the fact that this movie exists kind of is, And we talked about how great it did in the box office, how amazing it was. The whole genius of like the leaning into the Barbenheimer kind of like thing and having people watch these two very different movies in the summertime. Like it was very much like a back to old blockbuster kind of feeling. And fantastic film. I want to say one of the things that I bet will be remembered as like this year's summer blockbuster for a while.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, like it's not done yet. It will absolutely be up for awards contention,
for sure.
because of just the sort of cultural impact that film had. I really liked Barbie as well. It just didn't make my. It just missed the cut of my big end of year top 23 films of 2023. Visit unwantedopinion.net if you want to see that full list. It did just miss the cut of that because I did enjoy it, and I remember giving it an 8 out of 10. But the cynical aspect for me, Gonthalla, hasn't gone away in that film. I do still find it. I feel like Mattel got to have its cake and eat it too, sort of thing. I do think they completely get away with any sort of criticism as a corporation, and they're even played as sort of harmless dopes. Getting Will Ferrell on the what do we need to do? Okay, we'll do that. Everything will be good and dandy, and that does bother me, especially because
that's the thing. That's what really bugged me about the film when I first watched it. But having rewatched it, and especially because I think I rewatched it with my mom and my sister, and I don't think my sister had seen it before, seeing their reactions and realizing that, hey, this is a light comedy that's a fun movie that you can watch with your family that explores like the hardships of being a woman in this world. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. This is like an overall good thing. Like I may have issues with it, but like, this is a good thing. I'm really fucking glad this movie exists, and I'm really glad that like there's a lot of like young kids of any gender out there that can watch this movie and learn certain concepts that might not be taught in their schools, or might be like very taboo subjects that they're not allowed to talk about and stuff. And I'm like, overall, this is like this is a good movie. Like, I'm holding it up there with like movies like Black Panther as like a movie that like despite its like very capitalist and very industrialized kind of production, is very much talking to a minority there, that it letting its voice be heard in a really nice and positive way. So that's basically why I think it made it to this list for me.
Well, very good. Right, Kyle, any honourable mentions before you begin on your first pick?
Honourable missions. Oh,
God, this guy's losing his mind.
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I'm just gonna call it Dead Reckoning. Cause it's
just call it that because that's now the official title.
The whatever installment, 8th installment.
7th.
I really love this. If you remember, if you watched the Mission Impossible episode, I was a huge fan of the Pardon me, I wasn't a huge fan of the franchise before, and I just had a lot of fun with this film. I thought, action wise, top tier. Really on an action part, I think the only film that kind of competes with it is John Wick, but that's a completely different sort of action thing where it's more of a kind of in depth. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it kind of hit the AI note just right. It wasn't really oversaturated, but it wasn't like a chat bot trying to fight it. I'm really upset it didn't perform as well as it did in the box office, which is a common theme for a lot of the films I loved this year, with D&D included. The other honourable mention I'm going to give is The Fabelmans, which is the Steven Spielberg kind of semi-biopic film, which came out at the beginning of last year.
That was gorgeous.
Yeah, just to caveat, because people who listen to this, we get films differently. We're in the UK. We got this year. I know it's technically a 2022 film, but we got this year, so that's why some of these sort of
And
lists,
given the fact that I watched the movie probably years after it's come out in theaters, I go by UK
Technically,
release.
Toy Story 3 is a 2022 release, according to Gonfalo.
Yeah.
The Fableman's really great. Kind of a lovely kind of kind of one of those beginning of the origin of love of cinema. One I felt did better than say Babylon, which came out last year as well. But my first pick I'm going to go for is the opposite of Gonfalo's half. I'm going to go for the Oppenheimer of Barbenheimer.
Nice.
A film that Gonfalo has still yet to see.
Yet to watch.
So
Well, I made it
just
through
let
the
that
year though.
sink
So
into Lewis's face.
I think I'm allowed to watch it now. I
think you're allowed to watch it when it came out.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
No, but it had to be a meme. It had to be a meme. And now I think I
No,
can
it didn't.
watch
It didn't.
No, you decided it for some reason, even though we wanted you to watch it for the last 6 months.
We begged, and you just went, "Nah, it'd be funny, wouldn't it?"
Nah,
it'd be
yeah,
funny.
so-
no, it won't.
Obviously, Oppenheimer, oh my god, Christopher Nolan's latest biopic. I just absolutely love this film. I think acting is, it's incredible. I mean, I think there's gonna be one film that I would say probably did acting a bit better, that I think is gonna be mentioned later on. But I have to say, Cillian Murphy just, oh my god, it's insane as Robert Oppenheimer. I rewatched parts of it with my dad because he was watching it, and I was kind of walking in and out, and I ended up rewatching a lot of the Strauss parts with Robert Downey Jr. My god, he actually can act. What's this? It's incredible. Those scenes, especially him again with young Han Solo, Aaron
Eckhart. No, that's not Aaron Eckhart. Sorry, it's Aaron. Oh my god, I forgot his name.
I know
I have no idea what his
Yeah.
name is, but
the scenes
I
where they're
get
kind
it
of
by
bouncing off each other. The scenes where they're bouncing off each other, especially at the end where all the kind of stuff's coming out, I thought, my god, that's actually really good acting. Score, everything, visual effects, just brilliant.
Incredible.
Emily Blunt in it as well, incredible. I absolutely love this film, and I could easily rewatch it if it being 3 hours long, because I think just Cillian Murphy, I get absorbed into his character. And the whole kind of the whole kind of stuff that goes on about making the bomb, where it was these physicists that were just having a summer camp, and then they'd make this bomb and they'd have a oh shit moment. I love laughing at it, going, you didn't think about it until the moment you pushed that button and you went, wait a minute, this could actually be bad.
No, Oppenheimer on my list it's got the number 4 spot on my top 23 of the year. I agree, Kyle. From the beginning, it just doesn't stop. It goes. No. You get the opening shot of the water hitting the rain hitting the puddles, and then it's just go, and it's hard because it's a biopic at the end of the day, which is mad to think because it's so exhilarating. It doesn't fall into the pitfalls of something like Maestro.
We famously are very lukewarm when it comes to biopics on the show. We're not big fans of biopics, but goddamn, we've had a couple this last few years because to just nail it absolutely.
But it does work because Oppenheimer is, I think, in practically every single scene of the film, almost every single scene of the film. I should say, there's the stuff with Strauss, I guess, but. We're given through his entire scientific journey. Why would he be obsessed with doing something like this?
Yeah.
And then even at the point when his own colleagues tell him that there's actually not really a need, that Japan are going to eventually lose the war. He's like, no, there is a need because we can save American lives, and we're still constantly excusing it until, of course, it happens, and then we have this whole sort of second portion of the film where he's dealing with just pure guilt and the horror of what he's actually done and what he and his team have created. And I love that, and it's just filled with dread, and the ending is so powerful and impactful, and none of his characterization is lost in the shuffle of it all. It's not just here's his biggest moments, here's this moment in Oppenheimer's life. Every scene feels important and impactful. And that's really great for a 3-hour film.
Yeah. We talked about stuff like that when we did a review on Napoleon, about how It's like it
Yeah.
just jumps so much in time, and we see them change so much that we don't really get with the character. We don't really get that like character arc for them. It's very much like
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see Napoleon on anybody's top list, just saying.
And also what I do love about it as well is that even though, you know, Cillian Murphy, everyone loves Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer's the lead character of the film, it is very critical of him as a human being and what he did. You know,
That's good.
Louis Strauss is sort of conveyed as kind of a jealous, bitter, egotistical man, and he is, that is correct, but he is also correct about Oppenheimer. His judgments on him are true, and that's what I love, is so that there's that conflict between these two characters who are both right about each other. You know, and they both understand each other's problems and flaws.
I hate you.
And,
I hate you. It's like,
Understanding people
and I'm like,
not necessarily
Strauss
makes
is
you
right.
friends. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's fun.
But sorry, I was waiting for Gonzalo's comment on the film. But
Oh yeah.
he
Oh
hasn't
man.
seen it, so-
Honestly, it was an experience. It was an experience. Yeah, I love.
It
that
was an experience,
part
and it's
where
actually
it
being
starts.
re-released in cinemas this weekend.
See, there you go.
So,
There you go. I haven't.
well,
heard
there
that.
you
It's
go.
like-
Why watch it when it
I was
comes
like-
out when you can watch it whenever it releases? I mean, come on. It's just.
I think it's re-released in cinemas for the next week or so. So
I need to
if
check
have
if that's
time,
actually
I'm
happening
probably
in
going to catch
Spain,
it
though.
again.
will this be the push to get $1 billion before the Oscars?
Might be.
Yeah, I think obviously it's doing its big Oscar campaign now. So obviously,
Or just
they're
reminding
really
people
saying-
it exists for the
Yeah.
Oscars.
Yeah. Which I don't think they need.
Yeah.
I think it took the world by storm.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Everyone kind of knows Oppenheimer exists. But great pick.
Hmm.
Right, because I mean, you guys kind of did a bunch of my honourable
Yeah,
mentions.
yeah.
You just did Oppenheimer there, Kyle. You did The Fablemans, Mission Impossible. I'm gonna go for stuff that probably people haven't really seen
You should,
or missed.
because you've watched a lot of smaller, more indie kind of
He
projects
has.
this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Passages. I loved Passages. This is this is Ira Sachs' film. This is a film when I came out, I reviewed it on this podcast. I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10. Then I rewatched it again on Mubi, and the score got bumped up. And this got my number 9 spot on my list. I loved Passages. There's this character Tomas who's so narcissistic and feels the need to have power over these two other people. Through his relationship, and it's fascinating about this openly gay man who then has sex with a woman and then tries to control everyone around him. It's a phenomenal watch. It's so fascinating. The Eight Mountains as well. That actually technically came out last 2022. It's an Italian film, just about this beautiful story about these two guys who have this long-lasting, lifelong friendship that goes, you know, who they're envious towards each other in different ways, and then there's this conflict, and then it's sort of resolved, and then this the whole sort of beautiful story about these guys building a hut at the side of the mountain. Past Lives. I mean, this absolutely beautiful romantic tale about two soulmates who can never be together just because of the circumstances in their own lives. Absolutely beautiful and touching. Genuinely one of the most affecting films of the year. What else? I guess Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Yeah.
Beautiful, innocent film.
Yeah, you like
Loved
that
it.
film.
Life affirming. Absolutely fantastic. And I gotta give it to May December as well. Absolutely adored May December.
Oh, that was a good film.
Really weird, psychological, twisted film, which has Natalie Portman's best performance of her career, I think.
Yeah, you mentioned.
I also think
I remember the.
I'd say Julianne Moore also fantastic in it, and Charles Melton. I want him to win an Oscar for this.
Yeah.
Go on, Riverdale guy. I think he's absolutely phenomenal.
I recommend
think he's
for
absolutely
anyone
brilliant.
who's like interested in all of Lewis's like indie picks to go back on this year's like shows, because there's reviews for literally every one of these movies, very in depth without spoiling them and stuff. Very interesting things. If after hearing those reviews you feel like watching the movie, then it's definitely a thing to do, because we have the luck here to have someone like Lewis who watches all of the indie releases, pretty much every
all the stuff
all the
for you
stuff.
guys, you know.
So it's fantastic.
I don't do it for me. You know, I'm not,
No,
I don't actually want to watch these films. I
He
do.
hates film, famously.
I hate films. But my first pick, because I think Gonzalo's going to do my other one for number, which is my second
Yes,
spot. I don't
yes.
know. I think it is. Okay. My first pick then goes to Anatomy of a Fall. I was absolutely blown away by Anatomy of a Fall. So the synopsis, very briefly, is you have this woman, Sandra, who's played by Sandra Hüller, who is conducting this, who's being interviewed. She's a novelist who's being interviewed at her own home, but suddenly her husband starts loud construction work in the attic and also blasts this music, and basically the interview cannot be done because there's just too much noise going on. So the interview is cancelled. Her son, who's blind, goes to take their dog out for a walk, and when he comes back in about an hour, he finds his dad dead in the snow. And then there's three sort of ideas of what could have happened here. Either he accidentally fell out the window while doing the construction work, he was pushed, or he committed suicide.
Yes.
So there was that whole thing and that whole questioning throughout the entire 2.5 hour runtime, and it's completely enthralling. There's only 2 really locations in this entire film, and it's all just, this is, I think, the best screenplay of the year, potentially. One of the best screenplays of the year. I forgot about my other 2 choices. It's genuinely riveting. It's absolutely riveting. And there is this constant doubt going on in your head about, wait, am I with the defence? Am I with the prosecution? I'm like, I don't know which side is right. And there's that doubt constantly playing in your head. And Sandra Hüller is absolutely phenomenal. There's a scene in this film where there's an argument between, it's a flashback, there's an argument between her and her husband. And it genuinely, performance and dialogue wise, it feels like you're just there in a room watching 2 people argue. It's genuinely, this is like alarming. It's so enthralling, just having this realistic conflict that you feel like you know this marriage so well within a 2-hour run, within 2.5 hours. You're like, oh my god, I feel like I know these people. And I remember someone on Twitter actually made this statement. It's like, that scene makes the marriage story argument seem like a high school play. Like, it's that authentic, it's that raw and real, that it kind of makes you feel kind of uncomfortable that you're actually witnessing something like this. Performance wise, like I said, Sandra Hüller absolutely deserves an Oscar nomination. And I just think the son Daniel, who's played by Michael Mikado Graner, who's like 13 years old, is absolutely astounding as well. He deserves an Oscar nomination too. It's just every aspect of it, that doubt constantly playing in your head. That's a film that talks about your own, that sort of analyzes your own memory, your own beliefs, your own sort of. Am I misremembering my own experiences? Is my version of it the truth? And it's that kind of makes you uncomfortable. And it's like, what is my truth reality? And it's that sort of thing that makes you question your own things in your head. And I love it. I absolutely loved Anatomy of a Fall. I think it's a courtroom thriller classic that everyone needs to see. I think it's fantastic.
I haven't seen it yet, but my dad caught it really recently, and
did he?
Yeah, and he absolutely loved it. He said it was super stressful, that he's not watching it again. That he got really stressed out.
I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to buy it. Like, I'm really looking forward to watching it again.
He said that it made you feel like you were a juror in the courtroom, trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong and what's true and what's not. And like, until the end, he was like still doubting himself and not knowing who's doing why, where you are. And like, it's really funny because he tends to forget as soon as he's watched the movie everything about the plot. And this movie apparently did not help, because he was like, I want to tell you, but like, God, like, and then you see the same scene from another point of view, and I don't remember which one's right and which one's real and stuff, and it's very confusing, but I really liked it, he said. So there you go.
And I think I read somewhere that this technically isn't eligible for Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars, and I don't really know why. But if it doesn't get a Best Picture nomination spot, dear God. Is it
because there was like...
You're going to hear a very angry me on this podcast on that episode.
Maybe it has to do with like, maybe an American production company had something to do with it or something.
To do with that. I'm unsure. Anyway, Gonzalo, let's get to your final pick.
So my final pick, and one that you would not be surprised about, and I'm pretty sure it's stuck with all of us, is Killers of the Flower Moon. This movie kind of like destroyed me. It's a very odd, very strange film. It manages to tell a very like personal story as well as a very cultural one. It puts you right behind a character who walks into this event, takes part in it, and then completely destroys his life and any chance he has at happiness as it goes along. It's quite fantastic. I've mentioned before I really don't like when a character is very clearly doing things wrong and just like fucking up over and over again, because it makes me nervous. This movie managed to like not really infuriate me in that way, because I don't know, there's something about Leonardo DiCaprio's performance as the protagonist that makes you want to understand him and his reasoning. You empathize with the amount of control that is put over him. You empathize with the idea of someone who's thinks of themselves so little and thinks they are so small that they're willing to put someone else in charge of their life, and someone who clearly does love someone and still puts the person that controls them above the person that they care about. It's fascinating. It's really fascinating. It also opened me to part of history that I was completely unaware of. There's a lot of American history that I'm very much unaware of, and especially when it comes to different native peoples and their stories of oppression and segregation and genocide, basically. And this was one that was quite interesting to learn about. These people who were exiled from their home, given land by the government, and once they moved into this new reservation, found oil and wealth, and how slowly white men tried to take that away from them in a very sinister and poisonous way, I would say. It really does make you feel...
systematic way.
Yes, incredibly systematic. It really does make you feel like they are doomed from the start. These people just, living what should be and what was at the time sold as the American dream, but having that taken away from them slowly and insidiously in a very in a very disgusting way. It is. I think it was a fantastic film. I've heard some indigenous people have issues with the way certain things are portrayed, the choice of protagonists and things like that, and I cannot speak to that. But for me, it really opened my eyes to a part of history I completely didn't know about, and it made me feel very disgusted and very troubled, and made my stomach churn a lot without really a lot of it wasn't really, because I have seen films that make my stomach churn because there's very obvious displays of violence and very uncomfortable displays of violence and gore. This case, it was a moral kind of thing. There is violence in the movie, and I will say if you're squeamish, you might not want to watch it. Not because there's a lot of gore, but because it's very cruel, very insidious violence.
When we reviewed the film, you and I talked about this. Well, it's the way, it's the how violence is portrayed so ordinarily.
Yes.
It's sort of just, just seems so cut and dry and very just. There's nothing style. There's no style. Nothing stylish about the violence in it at all. It's just so cut and dry, and it's the way it's edited as well by Thelma Schoonmaker, who was everything seems to, and then she'll just cut to this very plain scene of just a hand coming out a window with a gun, shooting a lady, running, taking the baby, running away, and it's so plain and so simple, and yet it just you're like, whoa, it feels very shocking at the same time.
Because it's framed in a sort of banal way, and it really does remind me a lot of some of the scenes that really were really gut-wrenching from Spielberg's Schindler's List. The idea of because it is the same type of hatred. You see, these people don't hate indigenous people because they don't understand them. They clearly do. They spend their lives around them, trying to learn from them. But it's the way they do not see them as human. They see them as something less than, as and it's quite disgusting and quite horrific. And it carries throughout the entire film, from the most casual conversations to the most important of plot points. And it really is it really does put you without because again, we're following a white man during most of this film. We're following Leo's character, who's not a good man and who is responsible for a lot of the murders, if not by order, by circumstance. He is part of the people plotting against.
Complicity.
Yeah, he's complicit in everything that happens in this film, and it still somehow manages to put you into that perspective where you are not on his side. You are not, like, it doesn't make you empathize with him. It makes you wonder and attempt to understand how someone could do the things that he's doing, but not in an admiring way, not in a cuddling way, but in a disgusted way. Like, how could you? I really had quite the time with this movie. I don't know if I'll ever be able to watch it again because it's quite a harrowing one, but also one that manages to feel both eternal and really fast. Its runtime doesn't really overstay its welcome. It feels like it tells you exactly what it needed to tell you, and any less would be a disservice. And it manages to put you in this moment in history in quite an objective way, despite the fact that you're following this character. It doesn't really filter the world through their eyes, and I thought that was really interesting. Quite powerful.
And like you were saying about the runtime as well, you literally can't take a single scene out of the film.
No, because it wouldn't work.
You know,
it would say less.
It just doesn't work.
It would kind of.
And that's whenever he's saying when you reviewed it, you're like, damn, that pisses me off.
It does.
Have a filmmaker who has shot everything.
It really does.
And nothing can be removed.
Yeah, it really, really does. Because I love finding efficiency when I watch movies and finding the things that I would have done. And I'm like, I would have cut this out. I don't think we needed that scene.
We always say that when we review films. You could have taken 20 minutes off.
Yeah.
You know,
this
you could have
one,
taken 15 minutes. But you can't.
You can't, because if you did, it would be like a disservice to the story it's trying to tell, because it is a complex story with complicated characters, and it would turn it into a good versus evil tale if you took this out. And the thing that I think is the genius about this movie is that it doesn't portray someone, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, and this is what happens, you know? They're people, really fucked up, horrible people doing awful things. And the movie makes you wonder and try to understand, why would someone do something this awful when they know that what they're doing is wrong? How do they keep lying to themselves day in and day out? How do they keep getting chances to do right? They keep getting offered moments where they can atone and keep digging their grave even deeper, you know?
Yeah.
It's quite
the
incredible.
thing I'll quickly say about Killers of the Flower Moon is it's very, very, very rare when you go to see a movie you're really, really looking forward to and extremely hyped about. I mean, and I know it's a very weird film for someone to get hyped about, but I'm a big Scorsese fan, and this was my most anticipated film of the year. And so it actually feels kind of bizarre when a film meets the exact expectations of what you expected it to be. What you're like, because I also read the book and I knew the story, and I was like, that is exactly what I wanted a Martin Scorsese telling of the story to be. It felt so satisfying from my own personal selfish point of view. But the thing that really, really hit me in the film when I saw it was its analysis of evil. Because, like I said, I read the book and I knew all the facts, right? I knew the basic story, and then a little extra and all the stuff. But what really got me was just how the banality of evil. How does evil win? How does evil succeed? How is evil created and born and allowed to thrive when... And it was that for me that really made me sort of sink in my seat. Is just Robert De Niro's William Hale. Just so... have this mindset, this belief that he is doing the right thing, and he truly believes he's innocent in his cause.
The fact that he's
and getting
not
other people
really...
to do his bidding as well.
Yeah, the fact that he's a monster, but he's never really a villain.
You know,
it's incredible. It just it doesn't feel like a film. I am a big fan of film language. I'm a big fan of storytelling in film. I absolutely adore how we like take an idea and make an abstraction of it to try to express it through the medium of film and storytelling. How we simplify concepts to try to push for certain ideas and certain extrapolations and stuff. And I feel like this movie completely spits in the face of everything that I understand as good film writing and good film language. without being bad in any way. It infuriates me thoroughly because it feels weirdly like detached from trying to communicate a message. And I know it is inherently communicating a message by showing the things that it's trying to show, but it feels like it's just letting you come to your own conclusions. Which honestly, I don't think there are many other conclusions to come about except from the horrible treatment of the Osage people and the banality of that cruelty and
evil.
And
how evil wins is just by having them prey on weaker people to do their bidding, and that's where Leonardo DiCaprio comes in. And also the ending itself, the very, very strange ending that completely kind of catches you off guard, which I won't spoil. I think that, in a way, is Martin Scorsese also admitting his limitations as a man and a filmmaker to tell this story.
I think we mentioned this during our spoiler review, and I really did appreciate that, the way it takes you out in a very Wes Anderson-y way to say, hey, this is just a telling of this story, because the real story is what happened to these real people. And in that way, it really does remind me of the magnum opus of, you know, like, sorry, I'm blanking right now. I literally just mentioned it. Schindler's List.
Schindler's List.
Yeah, god damn it. I brain fart. But yeah, it really does remind me of the same way that movie takes you out at the end to show you the real people, the real, like, survivors, the real thing that happened, and be like, hey, this is just us trying to tell the story that really did happen to these people. I think it feels
if anyone,
utterly respectful, and I really enjoyed it. Sorry.
And if anyone who hasn't seen it, is coming to Apple TV on January 12th. So if you're subscribed to that service, it is available next week. Right, Kyle, what will your first choice be?
Sorry, I'm just waking back
up. I actually don't know what it will be, because I thought it was going to be Oppenheimer, but...
Oh no, it's Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
There we go.
Of course.
Yeah. Of course it's going to be that.
You know, I didn't mention that when I was doing my honorable mentions, because I was like, "Oh, will it be that for Kyle?"
I thought it was gonna.
Okay, very nice.
Didn't want to say.
No, of course it's going to be Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This film is just, it is heart warmth. That's how you can describe this film. You know, sit down like a rainy afternoon, you put this film on. The story obviously kind of based around Margaret, who is a kind of young teen, kind of like 11, 12, living in New York in around about the 70s, I think, and basically gets moved out to kind of the suburbs, kind of New Jersey, with her mum, who was brought up kind of strict Christian, but kind of left it behind, and her dad, who was kind of brought up strong Judaism, but also left it behind and kind of raised her with no religion. So she doesn't celebrate the holidays. You know, they don't put lights up at the kind of Christmas, Hanukkah time, and but she still has a very kind of close connection with her father's mum, her grandmother, who is Jewish. And basically the story is her going to this school, meeting new friends, kind of really hoping that her period starts and that puberty begins and she becomes this woman, but also at the time her kind of contemplating what religion does she want to follow, if she wants to follow any. And what this film does, which is what I kind of think so amazing about it, and the fact that it's my number one spot, is that one, I have never been an 11-year-old girl begging for puberty to start, and two, I've never been somebody questioning religion. So the fact that the the two main kind of story elements of this film, which at no point would I have ever thought would ever interest me at all, has got such a bloody grip on me in this film. It's just outstanding. I mean, every single cast member in this, from Rachel McAdams to one of the Thingamajig brothers,
Benny Safdie,
who's obviously they've now split up. So sorry,
they've split up.
I know.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Safdie brothers. And the grandmother, and it just everything, even the supporting friends, even Margaret's friends, like they're all brilliant. You got scenes that are just making you laugh out loud in the cinema. I could honestly, and also this is on Amazon Prime right now. If you want to go watch it, it's free to watch.
Nice.
It's free to watch and streaming Amazon Prime. Please go and watch it. I mean, I know that I've seen a lot of memes about sitting your family down to watch Saltburn and Amazon Prime. Watch this instead. It's gonna be a lot less scarring, I promise you.
It's gonna be a lot less awkward conversation after.
A lot more wholesome.
Your gran will thank me, okay, if you make her sit down and watch this film over Saltburn.
Yeah.
No, it's just every little aspect of this film I love, and like I said, it genuinely makes me sit down and it just feels warm, and I feel like I could just watch it again and again.
Yeah,
and I do love the kind of little glimpses we get into every kind of different religion. You know, bear that when you go and see her grandmother's temple in New York City, obviously kind of very traditional, very kind of Jewish area, and then kind of her going out to, you know, kind of almost kind of different subsets of Christianity, where she goes to a Catholic church, and then she'll go to the kind of like an African American sort of church, which has got a more lively, you know, very more environmental music and stuff, and it's just her kind of sitting there, kind of going, "This is so different to the last one." Like,
as a Catholic, they're sad.
And then Margaret's kind of discussion of it in her head, kind of going, "Oh, these all like they all talking to the same God," and you're like, "Oh, this is just such a pleasant film." Yeah, I can't. It is my number one, and if you told me this, I didn't know this film existed before Lewis said, "Let's go to the cinema," and I didn't even know what it meant when he said, "Are you there going to swing your Mercury?" I was like, I thought it was a question.
Yeah, I knew of the book because it was quite like the book it's based on. It was quite like well known and sold a lot and stuff, and I've heard great things about it. But I was really like.
Yeah,
really happy to
they
hear
got
they
got a great director. I can't remember her name exactly, but she also directed
Kelly Fremon Craig.
That one. She also directed Edge of 17 with Haley Steinfeld and Woody Harrelson, which if you haven't seen that is also a fantastic coming of age film. Which is she's really found a niche here. If she goes and does a horror film next, I will be surprised.
Yeah.
I want to just stick to this little bubble. But Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, definitely.
Kyle, like you, I've really adored this film as well. It was a really delightful surprise. Abby Ryder Fortson, who plays Margaret, is just what a find, man! What a find! Child actor, really, really great, fantastic lead. Funny when she needs to be, really emotional and naturalistic as well. Just great fun. Her and Rachel McAdams have this fantastic naturalistic mother and daughter relationship that really is
just the whole family. I genuinely feel that whole family is. I think. You know, 10 years ago, Benny Savin and Banjo went off, had an affair, and then boom, here you go. 11 years later, they're now doing a family film.
Yeah. And it's, you know, I remember saying this at the time as well in my review. Is Hollywood has really missed family comedies. You know, all that's pretty much gone now. It's really, comedies actually don't do well themselves, but comedies are just always R-rated, always adult leaning, all that stuff, or, you know, like really nasty. But this is a family comedy that everyone really could sit and watch together, and it just puts a smile on your face and is really heartfelt, and it's really sincere, and I really, really loved it for that, because it's something that Hollywood is really missing, and I thought it was a fantastic film as well. Beautiful. Did you catch it, Gonzalo?
No, I haven't yet, but Hannah watched it, and she absolutely loved it. She watched it with her parents.
Great.
After you watched it, and then Kyle watched it, and you guys kept suggesting it, I was like, Hannah, you're going to have to catch this one. I think it was like on Sky for a little bit, and she managed to watch it there. But now that it's on Amazon Prime, I'm definitely going to watch it. Sadly, it didn't come to theaters here up north. Might have gotten a release in Madrid and stuff, but, you know, small city, small theaters. They only do the really big ones. It's kind of annoying, because this was one that I was actually looking forward to watching, because you guys really like sold it for me, like, and it's the same reason, like I talked about the Celine D&D one. I really do miss that kind of niche of just like wholesome family movies. Like it's odd, because we see this industry that's trying to cater to as many people as possible and be as inoffensive as possible, but at the same time they really are missing just like that genre of just, you know, family friendly kind of like films, you know. Absolutely. Like the more the merrier. We've gotten some amazing ones recently, and I do want to say, despite a year where we had two gigantic strikes that hopefully will shape the future of the industry for the better, although some of the concessions really do make me worried. But despite like almost half a year, like half of the year being completely like painted by those strikes and a lot of films being pushed backwards and stuff, we have had a lot of really good releases this year. I will say it was a really good year for cinema, and we are starting to see a lot more variety of voices come into the fray, despite still like a lot of the same schlock being pushed. We're seeing like backlash to that schlock, and a lot of people not going to watch. Marvel has been going
big
down.
Big year for box office bombs, let me tell you. A lot of films
really
did not do well in 2023. Yeah.
Didn't Fantastic Furious also release a movie that no one watched this year or something? Or was that a different franchise? Oh, there was another big one.
Fast and Furious?
Yeah. Did they do a one this year or no?
Yeah, they did.
Fast and Furious 10 came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it broke even. Fast and Furious 11's in real trouble with the whole Vin Diesel stuff.
Oh,
so,
yeah, well.
Don't know will they ever conclude that saga? I don't know, and I don't care. Anyway.
How did they get off the dam?
Yeah.
How did they get out of the dam? I don't know. Someone's going to have to CGI it and fucking fan fiction it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
We have also seen
my
a lot
number
of, like,
one...
Oh, sorry. Before you do your number one.
No.
Just reminiscing about the year of cinema. That we have seen a lot of, like... good outcomes when it comes to like accountability of the actors and stuff. We have seen a lot of people get completely like shafted for horrible things that they have done rightfully, and we're starting to see like a little bit of positive movement when it comes to Hollywood, which I definitely celebrate and welcome. Sorry. Okay. Now, final pick.
Sorry. I thought you were done.
No. I just wanted to do a bit of build up and reminiscing before the big bang that is the final pick.
Yeah, okay. Well, my number one film of 2023, technically it isn't out in the UK till the end of January, but this was caught earlier, a preview thing with the London Film Festival in partnership with the GFT in Glasgow, and also this did come out in the States just in December. So this is All of Us Strangers, directed by Andrew Hay, and stars Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal, as well as Claire Foy and Jamie Bell. And
wow, another Paul Mescal pick as the number one at the end of the year.
I know, he's done it 2 years in a row. I can't believe it. That is incredible.
That is
incredible. After Sun and now All of Us Strangers, the guy's just like,
yeah.
I need to. Gladiator 2 better be my favourite film next year.
Whenever he's in a movie, just go watch it.
Yeah, I know.
Man knows how to pick scripts.
Yeah, I mean, this really, really took me by surprise because I didn't really know anything about it going in. I knew it was just like, Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal, and it was meant to be a big, one of the biggest films of the film festival. And I was like, all right, okay, I'll go see it. But All of Us Strangers, right? So it's framed like a ghost story, and it's about this character who's played by Andrew Scott, who is a screenwriter who is struggling, has writer's block, and then one day, Paul Mescal's character comes in. He seems to be the only other neighbour in this entire apartment block. Everywhere else is just empty and dark. And he basically comes in drunk one time, basically telling him, sort of comes across as creepy and sort of sleazy. And Andrew Scott turns him away. And it was a very, very weird scenario. But then the next day, for some reason, Andrew Scott's character feels the need to go out into his old suburban village where... to see his old family home, but his parents died when he was a child, so he's going there and checking the village, checking the house, just to sort of reminisce in the past and sort of think about his life. But then when he goes there, he finds that his parents are also still there and they haven't aged a day. And this whole film, I mean, weirdly enough, kind of like After Sun, there is this sort of mystery going on of what is actually happening. And with that, I mean, Andrew Hay's direction is just so controlled, it's so layered, it piles on this mystery, and even at points has the psychological horror element with this club scene. It becomes like its own little short film, like 5 minutes long, where Andrew Scott's character does drugs, and then it's like this whole thing becomes distorted, and the frame starts to bleed and merge, and it becomes really weird. And I remember even at the start of this film, there's this transition with the sun rising up over London and the reflection on Andrew Scott's apartment. And from, I don't know what it was, but kind of from that first shot and transition, I was like, wow, okay, I'm in for like a really well-directed piece of filmmaking here. And it did not stop after that point. It just kept going. Every conversation is so important to the emotion of the main character, to the sort of understanding of his psyche, to layer this mystery further. And like genuinely every conversation is like tear-jerking. It's an incredibly powerful film. It's one where I remember there's this climactic scene 15 minutes before the end where Andrew Scott talks to two characters, and then everyone in the cinema is crying, by the way. You can just hear everyone crying. Yeah. And then it goes, by the way, hold my beer, wait for the last 10 minutes. And Jesus Christ, it doesn't stop. It's so powerful, and it has all its ruminations and sort of personal trauma and its loneliness and just how we all deal with our own personal flaws and traumas and emotions. It's really, really powerful, and it's absolutely just made me in awe of it. I just was like completely blown away, and I will probably see it again when it comes out in cinemas again. I'm gonna have to really prepare myself because it is a lot, but it's an absolutely beautiful film. One that just every single second of it is just knows how important every single moment of the story is. It really does. It's a really impactful mystery, and one that I really can't wait to see what you guys think of, because it also has an ending that will
interesting,
make you question what is happening. It has an ending, yes, Kyle. It will make you really question what has happened and what you just witnessed. And I'm really intrigued.
I hate when films have
endings.
And
I forgot to mention
the last 10 minutes always and stop watching.
I really, really, really want Andrew Scott to get an Oscar nomination, because I still, after everything I've seen, although I've not seen The Holdovers, I know Paul Giamatti is getting a lot of buzz for that, and that comes out in a few weeks for us here. But regarding every other actor, I still think he should win the Oscar. I think he's absolutely the best lead actor of the year. And if he's not nominated, much like this film and much like Anatomy of a Fall, I'm going to quit doing this because I will be too upset.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, everyone.
If Lewis doesn't quit, then he's a lion. He's a lion bastard.
Well, Cal, get ready to host. We know the Oscars are always fair and balanced.
It'll be amazing because we take over the show, and in total we've seen 10 films in a year.
Yeah.
And
we can call it
He's just going to follow talking about Killers of the Flower Moon every week because he hasn't
pretty
seen
much,
else.
yeah. I could.
Best comedy you've seen.
We could talk about the last YouTube video we watched, maybe the last episode of Community we rewatched, and a little bit else, honestly.
Are you going to turn into a Community rewatch show? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What if on Oscar nomination day they go, and those are 10 nominations for Best Picture, and they go, guys, for the first year ever, 11 nominations is All of Us Strangers.
Wow.
And I don't have to quit my job.
And then they turn to the camera and they go, Lewis Gibson, please stop sending letters. We've got them. We've received them. Okay. Right, we heard you when you said X-Men: Days of Future Past should have been a nomination. We let you go.
That's true. I do think that.
But now we're begging you, please stop replying to me.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, look, that'll wrap up today's show. So thank you very much,
year.
Gonzalo, for joining me.
No, been a pleasure. Yeah.
Wonderful, and thank you, Kyle, as well.
Here's to 2024. Bring on Kraven the Hunter. Bring on Tiger's Blood. Number one next year, baby.
Let's get Dune Part 2.
Wait, actually, I've got a technicality for you, Lewis. Could
Yeah.
All of Our Strangers technically be our number one for next year, since we will have seen it in 2024 when it's released in the UK?
If it's
yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
If there's no better movie next year and we both watch it,
Just on a technicality point, because
it's
we've discussed the
2024,
whole.
so
True.
Yeah, it's 2024 for
That's
us.
true.
imagine
Time
if it gets
travel,
like
I mean, like,
best movie 2 years in a row.
Tar and the Fablemans were in my top 10 list, and those were technically, if I saw them in the
Mass
States,
was my
the
number
year
one for
before.
2022, which was a 2021 release.
Yeah,
Technically,
sure.
so yeah. Actually, there's more technicality on that because that film. Right, you know what? I'm not going to get into it. We'll forget about it. Look, on next week's episode, we are going to be flipping that coin, and we're going to be talking about the worst films of 2023.
That
so
we
be
saw.
prepared for me and Kyle to be very angry and
Yes.
exhausted by what we have to
It's
talk
gonna be
about. But we just give our opinions on Killers of the Flower Moon, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, All of Us Strangers, Anatomy of a Fall, Oppenheimer, and Barbie, of course.
Oh,
But at the end of the day, those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.